Big story we're getting at this Corps Commander meeting is expected today, is what Shreya Dhondial is telling us. Air defense systems are deployed in Ladakh. Our senior editor Shreya with us now for more on that. Shreya, what time is this meeting and what more can you tell us?
The meeting should just about be getting underway at the Moldo Chushul border point. Last time it was at Moldo in the Chinese side. I'm not sure whether it's at the Indian side or the Chinese side right now. But, you know, the important piece of news is that India and China have decided that they need to continue talking, which is why Corps Commander level talks are being held. The Corps Commander level talks, as far as India is concerned, is being led by Lieutenant General Harinder Singh, who's the commander of the Leh-based 14 Corps. On the other side, Lieutenant General Li Yu is the one who will be representing China. Last time this meeting took place was on the 6th of June. Okay. It was a marathon 6-hour meeting, Sneha, and it is in this meeting that a roadmap for de-escalation had been decided. Exactly 9 days later, the violence at the Galwan Valley happened, in which 20 Indian soldiers were killed. So much water and much blood, as it were, has flown down the Galwan River in these last 9 days. But let's wait to see what happens in this Corps Commander meeting, because, you know, de-escalation is something that was already decided upon on the 6th of June between the Corps Commanders. Today, I'm sure that when the Indian side speaks, they'll be expressing, not just displeasure, but anger as well over what has happened in the Galwan Valley. And I think another attempt, this is at least what I'm picking up from my sources, that another attempt will be made at trying to de-escalate the situation. Now, while the situation may be de-escalated in Galwan Valley, in Despang, in Hot Springs, the fact is that things are very, very tense on the ground as far as Pagangso is concerned. This is where the Chinese have built fortifications. They have come between Finger 4 and Finger 8. They have built tents. They have built observation posts, and they are refusing to go back despite these talks of de-escalation. So the talks will not just, feature what happened in Galwan. Of course, what happened has been a big setback to that entire de-escalation process. In fact, if I can be honest, there is no de-escalation going on right now. If there is something that is going on, Sneha, it is escalation. So how do you cool tempers down? How do you ensure that some degree of de-escalation happens? Will China be agreeable of pulling its troops and its equipments back as far as Pagangso is also concerned? All of that will be on the table. Last time, as I said, this meeting lasted 6 hours. It's going to be another marathon meeting today as well.
And peace appears to be like an uphill task here, a distant dream really, Shreya, given the fact that the Chinese side has clearly, in fact, said that it is India which is guilty of trying to change and alter the status quo there, at least in the Galwan Valley.
That's true. Look, China has its own point of view, and India has its own point of view. The fact is that it is the Chinese soldiers who attacked Indian soldiers. What had Colonel Santosh Babu gone to do on Monday night? Last Monday night, that is 7 days ago. He had simply gone to ensure that de-escalation that was already agreed upon at the Corps Commander level meeting, at the CO level meeting, was being complied with. That is what he had gone there for. After that, things escalated. There's a war of words. And then comes this very, very brutal attack from the Chinese side. All of that has now been documented. China can continue to keep saying what they are saying. It really doesn't matter to anyone who lives in India and understands how the Indian army works. The fact is the provocation was not from the Indian side. The fact is the provocation was from the Chinese side. The fact is that the Indian army has lost 2 brave soldiers. There have been casualties on the Chinese side as well, Sneha. But China has never spoken about it. And the Indian army says, look, we are sure we are not going to talk about it. So while there have been casualties on the Chinese side, we really don't know. China has a habit of playing the victim and has a habit of secrecy as well. So what they say at this point of time, I think we just have to take with a pinch of salt. For the moment, the big news coming in is that Corps Commander level meeting currently underway in Ladakh. It's important because I think this is another attempt to try and de-escalate the situation on the ground. Because honestly, there's what we are seeing right now, Sneha, with the reports that are coming in from the ground, we are just putting that out for our viewers, that all our forward bases, 8 of them that are facing China, have been activated. The fact is that our frontline jets like Sukhois and MiGs have already been deputed. The fact that the air defense system has been, deputed. The fact that all our troops have moved to their forward position. The fact that there is a warlike buildup even on the Chinese side. The situation on the ground is very, very, very tense. Let me say this once again. The situation on the ground is very tense. What you need to do right now is to de-escalate, and that will happen only via talks. Unfortunately, China has a habit of talking Wuhan and walking Doklam, and that is exactly what has happened with the Indian troops on Monday night. So I think both the corps commanders are going into this meeting knowing exactly what happened and how possibly the situation can be de-escalated, if at all.
That's right. Shreya, be with us. I'm also going to bring in Sushant Sareen, strategic expert here on the broadcast. Thank you for your time. Your reaction to what Shreya is telling us this morning. Co-commander meeting is underway. She says, of course, the attempt is to still continue to have a conversation with the Chinese side. Your reaction, sir?
Well, I think the diplomacy will continue. But I think the kind of forces build-up which we are seeing suggests that nobody is now going to take the Chinese on face value. And then, what happens is that there's an action-reaction cycle. So the Chinese started building up their forces, we up our forces, and that process has continued. Now it's reached a point where, as Shreya was talking about, the forward bases are activated, forces are moving to forward locations, some of the SOPs and everything else, and the border mechanisms have been altered. The army commanders are being given the free hand on how they want to handle the situation, which means that you are basically now on a hair trigger situation. Anybody loses his head, fires a shot in anger, and then, you get into that spiral. So, frankly, I think patience is also running very thin. People are itching for revenge. So all of those factors also have to be put into place. And then there is, of course, an enormous amount of political pressure. Now, frankly, it's very clear, in fact a no-brainer, that the Chinese started this whole build-up. They have to start pulling back. And if they don't, then the standoff continues. Now, whether the standoff then escalates to the next level, which is basically some kind of a conflict, which could then escalate into a larger or a wider war, we don't know. It's difficult to speculate at this point in time. But as of now, things are on a hair trigger. Now, whether the corps commanders at their level can sort this matter out, and even if there is some understanding which is reached at this meeting or any subsequent meeting, I think both sides will exercise a lot of caution before they start pulling back their troops.
So, Shansareen, I'll just come back to you for more on that, just to continue to be with us. Hold on to your thoughts. General JJ Singh, former Army Chief, is also now joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for your time, sir. Co-commanders meeting again today. Like I've been asking, the indication clearly is that India still wants to talk, and maybe even China does, really. At least that's the indication, that let's not escalate this further. Let's just, talk about it and let's sort it out. So once again, there's a meeting. Are you expecting much out of it?
It's like this. We must have a dialogue while we remain alert. I believe that our troops should remain on the guard for the simple reason that there is a trust deficit. Till the trust deficit is removed, we have to be very alert and very careful, and be thinking of what mischief the other side can be up to. Second point, dialogue is the answer now, because both sides have realized an armed conflict is not in the interest of either of us. And therefore, by dialogue, we will have to redefine the rules of engagement so that such a situation does not come in again or is not repeated. And it is sad, so many lives have been lost, but I would say the fault lies with the other side, because firstly, they provoked us, and secondly, they moved in additional troops here without following the agreements of 93 and 96. And there is no doubt that even on the 6th June, they had agreed that we will resolve it peacefully. by dialogue, but they and restore status quo ante.
Yes.
But what really happened is that they did not do that, and they tried to position an observation post in our side, and that was removed, and we found that there was resistance, led to violence. So really speaking, we don't want a repeat of the same thing, but we have to be guarded.
Yes, and General JJ Singh, this also comes at a time when the defense minister said that we don't want escalation. I think that's the message really. But you know, if there's a repeat of what we saw last Monday, then we are not going to you know, be quiet. We are obviously going to retaliate. That's the message from the government clearly.
Yes, I think the message is clear both ways. One is that we will like to resolve the problem by dialogue, but the second thing is that there are no restrictions in case we have to fire in self-defense or take any action in self-defense. And if they intrude into our area, then we are allowed to go ahead with that without seeking any clearance from anybody.
Yes.
I think that makes it clear. The other side also understands this language better.
Okay. Be with us, General Singh. In fact, Shreya Nondial, our senior editor, is also with us. Shreya, I'd like to take a couple of questions from General Singh.
Thank you very much, Sneha. Good morning to you, General Singh. Thank you very much, first of all, for being on this broadcast. My question to you is a simple one, and I think it bears repetition. The fact is, for the last 45 days, General Singh, China has done nothing but, you know, provoke India. It has done nothing but backstab India. The fact is that today you are seeing a second round of core commander level meeting. Should this meeting be held at all, given that China has shown no, you know, absolutely no intention of de-escalating, given the fact that China has stabbed us in the back? Is there any logic in continuing these talks, given the sort of build-up that we are seeing on the borders suggests that, you know, China is coming prepared for war and not talks?
I think no. It would not be correct to say that China's come prepared for war. Wars are not fought like this. And it is, yes, they perhaps wanted to seek hold of territory from where they could observe this road, which is going now, a new road which is going to Daulat Beg Oldi. They wanted to have an observation on it so as to be able to dominate it and control movement or interdict movement. But that has not been permitted by our reaction, and we have forced them to go back, but they have not, I think, gone back fully to what positions they held in April before this conflict, or not a conflict, before these incidents happened. Now, I think there is every reason to give a chance to both sides to be able to resolve it by dialogue rather than making the situation more tense and risking conflict. So a conflict, I think, is not in the best interest of both countries, but we should remain on our guard, and we should ensure that China is not allowed to achieve what they wanted to achieve. And they have to naturally think of a face saving of the Chinese side, because it will be a loss of face for them to withdraw back to where they were. But it will take time. It may be a little long haul.
Okay.
But we insist on their not remaining anywhere where they have come forward.
All right.
Across the LAC or on the LAC, because it's not marked on the ground. Perceptions differ.
Okay.
But what we are wanting to say is that for so many years, Galwan was not, it was a settled issue. And both sides respected wherever the patrols used to come. So if that continues back to status quo ante, it will be all right for us. We will insist on it.
All right.
But we will not back out, and we will insist that they have to follow the rules.
All right, General JJ Singh, thank you for your perspective here on the broadcast. Thanking Shreya as well. We continue to keep a close eye on those developments. They're all important meetings that is taking